Yo, 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 what's going on, everybody? My name is Rob Carmona, and welcome back to another episode of Rob the Mic. I hope you guys had a restful holiday, got to catch up with family, friends, and just kind of chill out for a little bit, recharge the batteries. I would say I had a pretty decent weekend. I was able to get some rest, chill out, catch up with family, friends. It was cool. It was cool. No complaints. I would say Thanksgiving was very eventful. I know I was going to tell you guys about it, so I was kind of stoked to do so. But it was something. It was something for sure. I was running around during the day trying to grab a couple things last minute, like here for the house. And we actually weren't going to be doing Thanksgiving here. We were going to be doing it at my aunt's place. So I didn't have to stress about, making a turkey or doing all this like crazy shit. We just had to bring a couple sides and that was about it, right? So got to chill out with my cousins, had a drink, and then sobered up super fucking quick, which wasn't very fun, but it was interesting. So we're having dinner, chilling out. Everyone's ready to eat. You know what I mean? Like everyone's been kind of like starving themselves all day, and it's like, all right, cool, let's fucking grub. So we get there, chill out. Everyone's eating. Well, we're about to eat, right? And my cousin goes to say grace. And not that, like we're all incredibly religious, but I don't think grace has to be a very religious thing. I think it can just kind of, you're taking a minute to be thankful for things, right? And you just kind of, you want to express that to the family and just kind of express things that kind of wrap everybody into the same realm, I guess you can say, right? Like you can either do the whole go around thing or you can just kind of generalize it. And the way she went about it, not that there was anything wrong with it, but I thought it was interesting what she said because it was almost like it made me think of all those memes going around of like foreshadowing. So she's like, it's been a really rough year and it's about to get rougher, but we can all handle it. And like my mom, and don't quote me on that, but she said that. I don't remember if it was like a rough year or if it was a hard year and it's going to get harder, or if it was a rough year, it's going to get rougher, but it was something in that realm, right? So my mom, she fucking turns and looks at me and I'm like, dude, fuck. Because not that I figured I was going to say it, but I was like, all right, because normally my uncle would say it, my uncle Alfredo. And since he's not with us anymore, last year it had everything kind of shifted to me. So I was like, okay, that's fine. Like, I don't mind. And I was kind of thinking about it throughout the day, just kind of being like, okay, what am I going to say? How am I going to navigate this? How am I going to go about it? Because I try to be thoughtful with my words, especially with things like that. If I have to make a speech or I have to say something or whatever, like it's cool to wing it. And I kind of compare it to the podcast in a way. Like I wing this and I like partially wing it. Like I think about my shit before, but then when I'm in it, I have like guidelines. It's nothing's like scripted out. I have points that I want to touch. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But I want to know what the fuck's going on, what I'm getting myself into. So I had been thinking about it. And then when I found out that my cousin was going to say it, I was like, let's see if she doesn't fucking put her foot in her mouth. And then here we are. So what I mean by the slight foreshadowing of this statement is we're kicking back. Everybody's eating, relaxing. And I noticed even when like earlier in the day when we were just kind of chilling out, we first got there, when my aunt's dad came into the house, not that I noticed anything right away, but I noticed when he spoke to me, it sounded a little bit different. It was kind of hard to understand him. But then I don't see him all the time. Like, I don't know, maybe less than a handful of times a year. And he hasn't been in the greatest state of health. Like he's had strokes before, he's had multiple heart issues, and he's had it rough. So it's taken a really heavy toll on him, like physically and mentally also. So sometimes it's hard to understand what he's saying. So you got to kind of be patient with him, So I had asked him to repeat what he had said to me because I didn't understand. And the second time I got it and I was like, okay, cool. So I had answered what he was asking me. But my mom had noticed that something was off, right? And then my cousin, I had taken them to the liquor store up the street because they needed some little things. That way we could finish making drinks, and they needed just like little additives for each of the cocktails that they wanted to make. So some like sweet and sour mix and like bitters and just things along those lines, right? And one of the cousins, she goes, dude, if you notice anything about him, like, please let me know because something feels off. And I'm like, well, first off, like, if you know something's off or if you feel like something's off, why don't you voice that to your mom or to somebody else? Because it's like, I don't see him all the time. So I'm not aware of what's changed or, whatever the fuck it is that's going on. I don't know. I don't see this guy every day. If you ask me something about like my mom or my grandparents, I can tell you, right? It's sometimes we don't see each other, but it's like I see them daily. So it's like if I don't, I can tell if something's up, right? Like when my mom had her stroke, I knew immediately something was going on. It was like, what? Like I noticed something in her face, something was different. Her speech, I was like, nah, there's a problem. So it's like, I know that shit. But for me, I'm like, if you already saw something, you should have probably said something, right? But chalk that up, whatever. So fast forward to this point. We're just chilling out. Then after I ate, went, made a stiff ass drink, sat my ass down, and my cousins wanted to play Cards Against Humanity. So there we go. We're in the game. We were on like round 4 or 5. And then their grandpa, right? So my aunt's dad, he gets up, goes to the restroom. Notice that he's taking a minute because I kept looking over and I'm like, damn, homeboy's not back. So my mom tells my aunt, like, hey, go check on him, and go check on your mom because his wife had gone to go check on him and she hadn't come back either. Whole situation, we end up having to call 911 and it turns into a whole fucking thing, right? So sobered up fucking immediately because it went from being chill to not chill. All of a sudden we had to move all this stuff, get everything out. That way they can bring in the stretcher, whatever the situation was, because whatever was happening, it wasn't good. And even the paramedics, the EMTs that were there, shouts to them for working the hours and the days that they have to work. Because unfortunately, it was Thanksgiving, right? Like I'm sure they want to be at home with their friends or their family or somebody. They want to be sharing this holiday with somebody, but they're out here doing what they're doing. So, I mean, shouts to everybody, all the first responders, people like that who are in these positions that have to put their lives aside to do their duty. And based on their reaction with what was happening and what the information that was being given to them, they were like, yo, we need to get him there yesterday. So they load this fool up, take him, and that's it. Right? So after that, we packed up the food. My aunt's kind of like jizzing. I think everything happened so fast, she didn't even know what the fuck to do, what the fuck to say, like how to process the information. My cousin's fucking freaking out about shit. And I was just like, oh God, like what the fuck's happening? But I think overall, it's like, it was such a fucking wild day. Like it was a wild fucking day. Like just emotionally, I think it was a very roller coaster type of day. And I feel like for myself, like I did the best that I could, right? And tried to like keep it cool, keep everybody chill with the family. Cause it's like, I have my grandparents too. And I saw how it was affecting them. They were fucking scared. And my grandma's blood pressure that night was insane. I think it was like 230. I think it was like 235 or some shit like that. Like insanely fucking high. And thankfully we have medication when she's in those type of situations that we can bring her down immediately. Like it's a very, very fast acting medication that she has for that. But it's still terrifying, right? Because it's like, fuck, man, these motherfuckers are here for this guy. I'm going to need 2 more of these motherfuckers here because I got my grandparents that are about to go down by the looks of it. So they're freaked out. Everybody's freaking out. And we just kind of do our best, right? And it's like you see shit like this in movies. And then when you're in the situation, it's like, oh, fuck, man. Like this type of shit happens, right? It's a real thing and it happens very, very quickly. So it's how you respond to that. And you got to stay cool. You have to stay cool. As tough as it is, you have to be calm in those situations, right? Answer questions, whatever questions are being asked of you. Do what you need to do. It's more so, I think it's that. It's doing what you need to do. Don't fucking think. Like I remember with my uncle, right? Like right before he passed, the week that he passed, when myself, my mom, and his wife had taken him to the hospital, we noticed something was wrong. And I had told my aunt, I said, dude, take him to the ER. Like we're literally in front of the ER. We just got out of his doctor's visit, but something's up. Like my boy's not good. He doesn't look good. Something's up. And these fools can help him. Right. And it's like, don't think about it. Just fucking do it. So certain things with this situation, I feel like they possibly could have been prevented if they would have had that same sort of reaction. Not just that day, because you know what? We're not even going to fully get into it. But it's all right. You guys get the gist of what the fuck is going on. But it was something. It was a fucking holiday and a half. And I told my mom next year, I said, hey, dude, following year, we're figuring something out. Like, I told you I want to do this shit at the pad. Now we're just going to kick back. So I don't know. I want to figure something out. And the funny thing is, the next day, I was going to be in Big Bear with my brother Sebastian. So he had hit me up for a last minute trip. I had a family function that I had committed to for that Saturday as well. But I was like, okay, you know what? If I have somebody that can take my grandparents, cool, we're good. Because the thing is, I feel like a majority of the time with shit like that, especially when it comes to family things, like I don't put myself first. I'm really, really bad at that. It just because I feel bad or I feel guilted into shit. And I'm like, fuck this, dude. This is crazy. I want to go spend time with my brother. I want to go to the fucking forest. I want to go get lost. And I want to go just fucking laugh. I want to enjoy myself. I want to laugh till my fucking face hurts. Like, I want to be in pain type of shit because I'm laughing so fucking much. And I just feel good. Like I need to recharge. And I know I've talked to you guys about this before, like what the forest does for me. So for me, being out there, it's like I fucking needed it. I needed it. I was stressed out. It was actually going to be, it was going to be on Saturday, right? Because I said it was the next day after Thanksgiving, but it was not Friday. It was on Saturday that I was going to go to Big Bear. So Friday I was able to handle other shit, do other things, get other stuff done, which was fucking awesome. But it just, it was nice to be able to experience that after having Thanksgiving, right? Like after, I'm not going to say like a traumatic experience, but I guess in the whole shot, when you look at it from afar, it is pretty traumatic. And I think now with what I've experienced in the last, I'd say 2 years, it's almost like that shit doesn't faze me because I've seen it. And I think going through what I went through with my uncle, I think that kind of prepared me for a lot in life. Like every part of that, would just, him getting tubes inserted and fucking needles here and this here and fucking crash units and all these people and all kinds of shit going on, and how you're supposed to respond to that and how you need to respond to that when the time comes, if you're ever in a situation like that. So like I felt like I was just like, okay, it's another thing, but I didn't want to just chalk it up as another thing. Like I still wanted to be able to process it and just kind of talk to somebody about it. So I said, you know what? The perfect person is, who other than my brother? Why wouldn't I want to talk to him about it? And he and I hadn't talked since I would say maybe the day before or 2 days before Thanksgiving. Because he had his own shit going on too. And, he was with his family and doing his thing. And we didn't get a chance. So getting to see him, it was like, yo, what's good, dude? How are you? All right, we're rolling out to Big Bear. So for us out here in LA to get to Big Bear, it's like just shy of 3 hours. If there's any traffic, it's going to take you about 3 hours. So we're dipping out there and we got a lot of time. So we start getting into it. We start talking, start going through shit. And I'm just kind of talking about it. And he's just like looking at me and he's like listening, he's driving, doing his thing, but he's like, fuck, bro. Like, that's crazy. That's really fucking crazy. Like, you're just kind of, the shit that you're talking about, it's like, it doesn't sound like a movie, but it sounded very hectic and like a little on the traumatic side. I was like, yeah, man, it was fucking weird. But you don't have time to think. You just have to react, right? So it's like, move all this shit, move all these chairs, move this fucking table, because these fools are going to come in here, do this, do that, do what you need to do. So it was nice to be able to breathe. And I needed that. And I had multiple moments where I got to just kind of stand there and like look around and say, all right, cool. This is nice. And I got to just get out of my head for a little bit. And then going into town afterwards, once we finished up with our trail, we ended up doing Gold Mountain, which is not a difficult trail by any means. But I think it was just an excuse for us to get out and to go have a good time and to go chill. And we linked up with two other people that just so happened to be going where we were going, so they tagged along, and it was a good trip. It was a good day. Then we went into town, got dinner afterwards, chilled out. I got some little. Every time I go to Big Bear, I like to grab a souvenir of some sort. Not like I've never been there, but it's just like a remembrance of the day. So I got a patch and I got a pin, so I was super fucking stoked. And the store that I got it from was really fucking cool. The girl was super sick, and it's like, what more could I have wanted from the day, right? I got time with my family. I got to laugh. I got to enjoy his company and kind of make like a Friendsgiving situation in a way, you know, where we just got to chill out and go to Big Bear for a day, chill at a nice restaurant, have a cocktail, have some good food. Like, I realize as I've gotten older, things become so much more simple. Like, my requirements are, you know, basically zero. Like, I just want to be with people that I love. I don't give a fuck what we're doing. I don't care where the fuck we're at. I don't care what we're eating. We could be in a park, chilling on a blanket. That's it. Like, I don't need shit else. And I don't even need that. I just want to be with the people that I love, people that I care for. And it's like that, as I've gotten older, those are the things that have kind of shifted, and I realize a lot of that shit. And it just continues, like, that nail just keeps getting driven deeper and deeper and deeper into the wood, if that makes sense. You know, like, you sit with these things and it's like, fuck, man, life isn't that hard. Life isn't that fucking hard. You know, you take it for what it is, and that's all you can do. So as I was trying to kind of figure everything out for this week's podcast, I'm like, okay, what the fuck am I going to talk about? What's going to go down? I basically brought it down to these 5 things. And the 5 things are the following. You're going to celebrate your progress, stay grounded, manifest and act, heal and forgive, and intentionally evolve. So we're going to touch on these 5 really quick. I don't want to take up a ton of your guys' time, because I feel like we've kind of talked about certain things like this, but I also think it's necessary to talk about coming into the holidays, coming into a season where everyone's very, like, reflecting. We're in a period of reflecting right now. And I think leading up to the new year, it's always something interesting to think about, because it's like, I get really pensive around this time too, because it's like, all right, fuck, where am I going to be in a year from now? Because I think about it last year. Where was I? What was I doing? What progress have I made? And you get into these, like, not like a funk, but you just kind of fall into this state. So I feel like it's important to talk about this type of shit. And it's like, why not start off December like that, right? So celebrating your progress, right? You always want to acknowledge how far you've come and the growth that you've achieved. And for me, it was funny, last night I went to a car event for my buddy Sid. He threw a 240 Tuesday. It was the last one of the year. And at the very end, I was saying bye to one of his homies. And he starts gassing me up to his boy, talking about, like, how I, you know, the pictures I shoot, the videos that I do, and, like, how fucking sick they are. And I reacted just very chill. Like, yeah, man, you know, thank you. And he's like, no, dude, don't be humble about that shit. Like, that shit's gangster. What you do is fucking crazy. Like, his work is fucking crazy. And his homie's like, damn, dude, like, I gotta check that shit out. You know, and for me, I've always been in this state where, like, you have to be humble. And with the mentors that I've had, they've all taught me the same thing. You know, Michael Stinson, he was one of my mentors, fucking absolute god when it came to design and typography. And I'm very, very lucky to have not just known him, but to have studied under him, to have him be somebody that guided me in the design world. And I feel like is a very big staple to the way and the reason why I design the way that I design today, and, like, how wild I am with type and the understanding that I have, and just, you know, characters and rules and all these things, and, like, just why the fuck you carry this shit. But he always told me, and he, like, drilled this into my head, which is, dude, always stay humble. Never let shit get to you. It doesn't matter what happens. It doesn't matter what the fuck it is. Keep it pushing, keep it moving. Be thankful and acknowledge that, you know, give your thanks where you need to, but that's it. And keep it pushing, because you're going to keep going higher. You're going to keep pushing to these heights that you never thought were possible, that you didn't think you'd ever reach. And you're going to reach every single one of them. And the more that you can kind of stay in this place where you just keep it humble, you appreciate it so much more. And I agree with that 110% because I've also seen people, for example, in my field that have reached certain heights. They let this kind of shit get to their head and it kind of changed them. And it's like, what the fuck? And then what happens when you don't get higher than that? What happens if like you peaked already and you act some sort of way? It's like, well, that was a long time ago. What are you doing right now? Type of shit. And it's like, people are always kind of like on you, right? Everyone's kind of trying to see what's up, trying to see where they can stab, where they can put a pin into. And it's fuck all that. I feel like if you just kind of remain cool, you remain humble, I think things become so much easier and you navigate things with a lot more peace. So for me, it's very peaceful to be that way. And I'm very, again, thankful to have been exposed to that sort of mentality and that I was taught that sort of mentality. Not that I wasn't that way to begin with. I've always been very, very, very humble, especially with like the way I was raised and things like that. Like I've never been one to boast. I've never been one to brag or show off or anything like that. Like I was never like that. And if I ever did act like that and like friends saw me or family saw me, like I was corrected really, really quick. I couldn't do that. I couldn't be on some bullshit because somebody would put me in my place. So it's, as I got older, I just, I kept that. But it is important to sit with yourself and realize how far you've come and that it's okay to be proud of yourself. It's okay to give yourself praise and to say, dude, look yourself in the mirror and say, I'm so fucking proud of you. Look at you. Look at how far you've come. I heard this thing today with Alicia Keys. She did a podcast with Jay Shetty, and I was watching it today. And she goes, you always have to grant yourself grace. And like we've talked about that, right? She goes, but you got to love yourself. You have to talk to yourself nice. Like you hear that saying, like people talk about, oh, talk to me nice. And it's like, yeah, right. Because you wouldn't let somebody talk to you crazy. Talking about you're a fucking idiot, this, that, and the third. Look at what the fuck you're doing. You're fucking failing. You're this, and that. You're fucking up, blah, blah, blah. You wouldn't talk to yourself like that. You're not going to let somebody else talk to you like that. So why the fuck would you talk to yourself in that way, right? Like we have to shift the way that we speak to ourselves. And this is a big part of it. Celebrating that progress and allowing yourself to experience that for yourself. Like you have to look at yourself and say, I'm proud. I'm proud of you. You're not going to wait for somebody to tell you. You can be proud of yourself. You can be happy. And that's all right. There's nothing wrong with that. You got to just keep it pushing and use that as fuel to keep moving, right? And the next thing, staying grounded. Again, I know we've talked about all this shit before, probably. So if y'all want to, turn this one off, it's cool. It's all good. You can skip this if you want. But for those of y'all who really fuck with me, I know you're going to watch this and I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. But staying grounded, right? Focus on what you have, practicing gratitude, releasing resistance. Because I think when you release that resistance, you welcome new beginnings. And all of that is a part of being grounded. And right now, I know for me, like I'm very much in the state of focusing on what I have. Practicing gratitude, being very, very thankful from where I'm at, because it could be a hell of a lot worse. I have homies that are going through situations I couldn't fucking imagine what that is to go through. Some of them are very serious situations. Right now I have a buddy of mine who's in a position dealing with DACA, trying to renew his permit, but it's a whole process now, right? And then because of all that's happening right now in government, it affects him. And is he worried? Is he stressed out? Yeah, of course he is. And granted, I'm not saying he should be, but I know I would be if I was in his shoes. So it's easy for somebody to say, yo, dude, it's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. You don't know. But I'm very thankful to not be in a position like that. Very, very thankful to have a roof over my head. To have people in my life that love me, that care for me, that show me that almost on a daily basis. And it's like, fuck, what more could I ask for, right? Instead of focusing on what I don't have, if I haven't hit this point, or I'm not here, or I haven't done it, hold the fuck up. Where are you right now? What do you have? I'm not just talking about things. That's not the shit that I'm talking about. It's like the things that are in your life. What do you have? Other people don't have that. They might not ever experience that. And you're experiencing right now what other people want. fucking blessed, to be honest with you. So it's like I have to be able to have these moments for myself. And when I can focus on that, when I can practice this shit, it sets me down. It levels me the fuck out. And that last one that I was talking about, right? Like releasing the resistance to change, because that's what helps you embrace new beginnings. That's where I'm at right now. I feel it. Like I feel like a weird fucking shift, because I was very much in a state of fighting the change. Releasing people, releasing places, releasing things like that they no longer serve me. There's nothing good about that. So it's like I need to let that shit go for new things to come in. And honestly, the more that I do that, I'm noticing that new shit is starting to present itself. Whether it's opportunities with work or things with friends, with family, in my romantic life. Like as I start to navigate things different, things start to kind of present themselves differently. And I'm like, okay. So that's what this shit's all about. That's what these people keep talking about, right? Like these certain people that I watch online, just because I was talking about Jay Shetty, we'll bring Jay Shetty into it, right? Like he talks about these concepts a lot. So it's like listening to him speak and trying to understand, like, how do you, like, I get it. I get being told to release and having to like release these things so that you can welcome something new. But it's like, how do you fully release? And you don't fully release things. I feel like sometimes you will have a situation that you become open to the idea. And because of that, it opens a window. And then slowly something starts to creep in and that window starts to open more and more and more, to the point where the window's all the way open and that new thing has already let itself in. And this thing that you were trying to release slowly got healed. And it doesn't just happen overnight. And I don't think it's that fucking simple. People who are out there telling you, oh, just fucking forget about this person or fuck this job or whatever the fuck, or, do you know what I mean? Like just to kind of shut it off. It's not that fucking simple. It's easier said than done. And I think if you are capable of doing that, I mean, I'm not going to say it's concerning. I think we all have these moments where we can kind of shut off and shut down regarding certain subjects. But it doesn't mean that it's not there. In my opinion, you're just kind of shoving it under the rug. And eventually that shit's going to get really big, right? That dust is going to pile up. Something's going to pile up and it's going to end up everywhere. So it's like I'm putting myself in this state where I can process what's going on, slowly release things from the past because of new things that are coming in. And as the more that I experience these new things, again, it allows me to peacefully put these things to rest. So it's like, okay, this is a part of staying grounded, is realizing in the moment, okay, these people, places, and things make me feel like this here. And I feel like myself. This is what lends to me being myself. And I need this. I love this. I want this for my life. And this shit, I notice, doesn't make me feel this way. These people, places, and things. So what do? Bring myself back to the moment. What is making me happy right now? This, all of these things. So, okay, this is what's currently in my life. Looking in the past, it's like if I see things that I'm not happy with, I don't fucking live there. That shit's already happened. Like, what's the point, right? The past is the past and it should be left behind. And it's tough sometimes. Again, that one's easier said than done too. But when you ground yourself in the moment, in the present time, that's what keeps you here. That's why, you're living in this current. You're not living back then. There's nothing that can be done about that. You can do something about the right now. So the more that I can keep myself grounded, that's what's going to propel me forward. That's what's going to push me. It's what's going to help me through the holidays. It's what's going to help me fucking through tomorrow, through the rest of today. So that's what I rely on. That's what I push myself through. And I think we all kind of need to sit in this realm and do that too. And manifesting and acting. There's a second piece that comes to that, right? So it's like aligning with your actions to transform ambitions into forward momentum. And it's like, how do we do that? Right? You hear the word manifest. Like, I think I don't remember if it was this year or last year, but I think that was one of the most popular words used of the year. But it's so important to do that. To see these things that you want for your life, to kind of speak them into existence in a certain way. And it's It's not being delusional. I think some people are like, oh, dude, that's like super delusional. It's like, no, it's not. I don't think so. I think you can be positive. I think you can be hopeful. And I think you can speak these things for your life. And it's like you can, having that sort of positive talk, right? That whole talk to me nice. Talk to me nice. And it's cool to say that. You know, I'm going to have this. I'm going to work for this. I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to push until this, whatever it may be. And you act on that. And you kind of align that with this faith that you have in yourself. Or honestly, in whatever it is that you need faith in, right? Whether it's if you find some sort of solace with religion and you find faith in that, you do that. You run to that. You pray to whoever it is that you need to pray to for strength. And I think I know for myself, like I look inside. Like I want to have faith in me. I have faith in the people around me, in the love that they give me, because that gives me the faith that I need. Because it makes me believe that, like, okay, you know, my life is meant to be full of love. My life is meant to be full of purpose, of kindness, of all kinds of things. And I need that. If I have faith in that and I have faith in me, then it's like, I don't need anything else. These are the things that propel me forward. This is the shit that pushes me in ways that I would have never fucking thought possible. Am I going to make it through this? I don't fucking know. But I know with these people, I know with these feelings, with these, whatever it may be, I can push forward. Because I have the faith in that. And because I have that, it allows me to kind of think and process differently to push forward. Healing and forgiving. And I think that's a really heavy one. We could have a whole podcast just on that in itself, because you're talking about self-forgiveness, talking about forgiving other people. You're talking about healing from those things and kind of paving the way for better choices that you're trying to make. Better situations that you're trying to put yourself into. But when you allow self-forgiveness, I think that's the biggest thing, is like you need to be kind to yourself. Other people, it's one thing to kind of forgive other people, which is fine. But we are always our worst critics, right? Nobody will ever be harder on us than we are on ourselves. Even in the fucking worst situations that you will endure, you will find a way to kind of surpass that. You will go one up above that. And like, you know, I can't tell you how many conversations I've had with people that are just gut wrenching. You know, it's sad to say, but it's like I've had so many homegirls, for example, that have been abused in one way or another. And some of them have talked to me about these situations that have transpired. And some of them, the way that they speak to themselves after enduring this, it's like, wait, hold on, what are you doing? Like, why do you say that? Like, that this isn't you. You didn't bring this into your life. You didn't ask for this. This happened because of somebody else, because of their unhappiness. And then this is how it transpired. This isn't your fault. You know, you have to forgive yourself. Grant yourself that grace. Be peaceful. Give yourself that love that you need, that somebody else wasn't able to give you. You know, and that's just one example. You know, we don't really have to get into that whole thing, because again, I think this one alone could be a whole fucking episode. But the moment that you can allow self-forgiveness and grace and patience and self-love, and you kind of can show yourself these things, life becomes a little bit more gentle. It's not as hard. Because when you look in the mirror, you see somebody that's full of love, that is full of care, that is full of just peace, that you can rely on, right? Because it's like we talk about how many times. When you go to sleep at night, regardless if you sleep next to somebody, you are by yourself. You are in your head. It's how you talk to yourself. It's how you think. It's how you act. To me, those are the most important things. Because it's that inner monologue. But if it's something good, if it's something positive, and granted, it can't always be positive. I fucking know. I know. Y'all don't need to fucking tell me. It's not that simple. Like for me to be like, oh, you know, talk to yourself nice. But I think the more that you practice it, that sort of language and what you hear, you start to become used to, and to the point where it's just like, this is normal. I talk to myself like this. I treat myself like that. You know, I sprinkle myself here. I do this. When I want this, I go get this. When I do this, when I want to do that, I want to relax, I go fucking relax. I want to step away, I step away. Like, you show yourself love in different ways. And the more that you can do that, you will heal differently. And when you start to heal, I mean, again, it's just like we were just talking about, right? Like, you can't always heal before you move forward. Sometimes moving forward is in the process of healing. And as you continue to walk forward, you will heal these things. And it's like, oh, okay. And it's not that somebody else is healing it for you. I think people can help you heal for sure. I know I've definitely come into contact with people recently that I'm like, okay, all right. This is crazy because I'm starting to feel things again. I'm starting to feel safe. I'm starting to feel, and it's just like, okay, this is what happens when you let this shit go. And I'm not just talking about romantic stuff. I'm talking about everything around me. Like I'm starting to feel it with my career. I'm starting to feel it in certain aspects of my family, with my friends. Like the dynamics are changing, but in a good way. But it's like the more that I allow this type of shit and the way I talk to myself, it's like, okay, here we go. This is what this shit's about. This is what this is about. Why I was fighting this so hard, why I wasn't allowing this shit into my life. It's like, I'm not saying I did this all for me, right? Like I did it like as a form of punishment, but it's like, this is what these people were talking about. The Jay Shettys of the world. You know, all the other mentors that I look up to, these other psychologists that I listen to and that I watch and that I, you know, this artwork that I look at, whatever it may be. It's like, this is what they're all trying to say. What you're experiencing right now, you know? And the last one, number 5, to intentionally evolve. And the passage I have that comes after that is to reflect on past decisions, trust in your power, and consciously choose growth, and focus on how you want to feel and show up in the year that's coming. Like how it's okay, right, to sit and reflect on things. I think we need to do that. I really think it's important to do that, actually. I don't think you should just chalk shit up as like, don't look at it, don't deal with it, none of that, because that's the type of shit that you put in the closet and it's like eventually the closet overflows, right? Which is why I'm a big advocate for therapy. It's what it's done to me, how it helps me, how it's helped me in the past. And it's changed. That whole journey has very much changed for me as I've gone through it, being in it for as long as I have now. But I reflect on shit, right? The decisions that I've made, and I don't beat myself up for them. I don't regret them. I had a certain point where I started to I felt guilty and I was like kind of regretting, right? And then even after I did the episode with you guys, like about regret and how it's a waste because it's chance. Who would have known? We're assuming that the chance that we took, it could have been better the other way around. And it's like, what if that shit was actually worse? Right? And granted, the way that we went, it could have already been bad, whatever decision we made. But it could always be fucking worse. And we're just assuming. And then that assumption is what leads to regret. But again, it's all based on chance. So essentially, regret is fucking useless. But again, easier said than done for some, right? But I sit there and I reflect on it. But I also trust in the power that I have and the power that I'm coming into. Because I feel different. I feel like I'm starting to move a little bit different. I'm starting to act different. The way I display my love, the way I display affection to people, the way I just feel like I'm navigating in general. I think it is very different. But I really do trust in this power that I have. Whatever it is, I can't really explain it. But I feel like something is inside me. And it's starting to show the more and more and more that I move, the way I step, the way I breathe, all this type of shit. And it's like, okay, trust that. Trust that. Trust in yourself. Have faith in yourself, like I was talking about earlier, right? And to consciously choose growth, move forward, and to know that whatever step, no matter how fucking big, it just move forward. Whatever it is, and be very conscious of that. Like, fuck, this is gonna suck, or you know what, this is all I can do right now. Then it's all you can do, but at least you went that much further. You went that much closer to where you want to be. And to be aware of that and give yourself grace for that too. Maybe some days you can go further. Maybe some days you can't step as far because you're fucking tired, you're exhausted, you feel like shit, whatever it may be. Then that's cool. But you took a step. And what I also will tell you guys, and I know I've said it here before too, it's like, don't half step with shit. You want something? Fucking do it. Even if on the days you can't take 110%, you can't dedicate everything you have to it, it's all right. Take a step. That's where this shit's at. You start to adopt mentalities like that, it's different the way you move. It's different the way you feel. It's different the way you kind of navigate everything. Because that's that shit right there. Don't fucking half step with anything that you do. With your job, with your friendships, with your family, with your fucking relationships. Don't half step with that shit, dude. To me, and with my experience, half stepping in relationship, dude, it causes bullshit. It causes bullshit. And you start to set these you're starting to lay down bricks, but you don't put down the right sort of cement. You're not putting down the mortar properly. And it's just like, you start to leave little holes and little cracks and shit starts to slide through. Next thing you know, shit comes crashing down. Fuck all that. Half stepping causes bullshit, and it's with everything in your life. But I had to just throw that out there with relationships, because I also feel like people don't take that time anymore. People don't want to put in the time. They don't want to put the effort. They don't want to put everything that they need to put into relationships. And it's fucked up. It's fucked up. It's sad. That's the shit that's so discouraging, I think, about dating today. Is like, people don't want to do that anymore. Right? But that's a whole other fucking podcast. So we're not even going to get into that shit right now. Because we ain't going to do that. It's all right. We'll save that for another one. And remember, to focus on how you want to feel and how you want to show up in the new year. And you don't have to wait for the new year. You could start that shit right now. You start that shit tomorrow. Like, why not? Why wait for the new year? If you want to make changes, make them right now. It's like, why? You want to wait a couple weeks to make a change? Why? If that change is going to benefit your life, why not change it right now? You'll be a couple weeks ahead of yourself. You said, I was going to wait for fucking January 1. For what? It's December 4 right now. You damn near be a whole month ahead of yourself. You be a whole month ahead of all these other fucking people that are going to sit there and the first, I'm going to make these changes. Nah, fucking mamadas. Fucking mamadas. Make the change right now. Do that shit. Think about it. Focus on whatever it is makes you feel. And if you want to shift that, shift that. Show up for yourself. Nobody else is going to show up for you. You can put that faith in other people and hopefully they can show up for you. But ultimately, you have to do it. You have to show up like that for yourself. That's the fucking key right there. That is the key. Now, with all of this being said, I was trying to find advice. And I came across this line and I said, that's money right there. That's it. The advice is this. Willpower is useful, but joy is essential. One more time. Willpower is useful, but joy is essential. So for me, the way I interpret that is you having the strength and being able to believe in yourself and have faith in yourself. It is useful. It's very helpful. It's very beneficial. It will that's what's going to help you to get out of that chair and to get out of your car and to get out of whatever it is the fuck you need to do and walk forward and to just kind of move in a certain direction. But joy is essential. Happiness is essential. I know so many people that make insane amounts of money. Like, I can't even comprehend the amount of money that they make. And they're not fucking happy. They're some of the most unhappy people I've ever met. And it's sad knowing some of these people personally, because it's like, fuck, man, like this is really shitty. Because again, maybe you don't have the stresses of having to worry about money. Your mortgage is taken care of. You never have to worry about food. Whatever it is you need to do, you don't even think about it. You just swipe your card and you have it. But they're not fucking happy. And I'm not saying that you can't reach that point, right, where you become so wealthy or you make a certain amount of money and that's not going to help make you happy, because I think it does. But at a certain point, you need joy. And it's like, what would you trade for that? What would you trade for happiness? I know, especially in the last 2 years, I've really had to look at that. And it's like, okay, what would you trade just to be happy? What would you trade for joy, to smile? And even this past weekend, like, I showed myself that. How choosing myself, choosing things that I know that I needed, the joy that brought me. And I'm like, okay, I get that. That's why when I saw this, I was like, that's it. That's fucking another one. That's prime. That's key shit right there. So willpower is useful, but joy is essential. Carry that with you. Talk to people about it. Share that. Spread that. Be that light. Be the beacon. Spread that good shit. That's what we're about here. You know, everybody that fucks with this podcast, everybody that watches it, listens to it, however it is that you take this podcast in, everyone who fucks with this, you guys already know what kind of wave we're on. It's not that hard. You know, it's peaceful. It's love. It's positivity. It's good shit over here. It's light. It's light. I don't have fucking time for all this dark shit. I don't have time for all this bullshit that people want to be bringing into my life. Like, I don't have fucking time for it. If you're not on some good shit, you can fuck the fuck off that way. Like, I'm not trying to see you. I'm not trying to talk to you. I'm not trying to fucking spend time with you. Like, nah, it's cool. You can go that way. I got time for the right shit here. And I know I want you guys to kind of get on that too. Because I know that's what you need. That's what we all need. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in today, for watching, listening again, however it is that you take in the podcast. Like, I appreciate you guys from the bottom of my fucking heart. Thank you. Thank you for rocking with me. Thank you for keeping this little thing alive. I appreciate you guys. Thank you. And I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, an incredible rest of your weekend, a beautiful weekend. And I will catch you guys on the next one.